I'm very passionate about the equality of people and people being treated equitably in all circumstances. The one thing I really love about what I do is connecting with people at the grassroots level. What motivates me to keep going is the lives that I touch and the people that I meet. To me, what equates success is the impact that you're having and not necessarily the numbers that people see. We cannot afford to sit on the sidelines and watch everybody else do the work. There's enough work for everybody, and we should all be doing our part. Find out what you're passionate about and dedicate yourself to serving in that capacity, and you'll always be happy, and you won't feel so tired and like you're having to work. You won't be stressed out as much because you're doing what you love and what you were created to do.
I am your host Gaurav Garg, and we welcome all our viewers to our show Amazing Mentor. Today with us is His Royal Highness Queen Aminata. She is known as Magagia Shigaba of Fulhani. She is founder and CEO of Black Wall Street, Arizona INC. She is proud member of IDO Network International, which is a global royal cultural association. She now works directly with African kings, queens, and local traditional leaders all over Africa and the world. She was welcomed into the Embo Kingdom by His Royal Imperial Majesty King Bhungani III and given the title of His Royal Highness to include an ambassadorship to represent Kingdom affairs in Arizona, USA. The Embo Kingdom spans from South Africa up to the Congo and consists of Bantu-speaking tribes. She is certified human rights consultant, human trafficking consultant, and a certified business consultant. She also holds several national certificates in different fields. It's an honor to welcome His Royal Highness Queen Aminata to our show Amazing Mentor. Welcome, Queen Aminata.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure, ma'am. So tell us about your childhood and memories you enjoy as a child.
So, as many people don't know, I grew up in the United States. And I have many fond memories. I grew up in a time just outside of the civil rights movement. We were the first family to integrate the area that we lived in. So I had the opportunity to play with a variety of different children from different backgrounds, ethnic backgrounds, religious backgrounds. And I remember fondly how we used to go to the park and play this game called Ditch 'em, where it's kind of like a switch on tag and hide and go seek. And we would all meet up at the park with our water bottles and our lunches, and we would spend the day at the park just running around and playing ditch 'em, jumping off things, hiding. And it just was a good time of bonding with different friends of different ethnic backgrounds and cultural backgrounds. And it just was a wonderful time in history to where we can just look back on and smile and laugh at some of the things we did, the music we listened to, the snacks we ate, and the games that we played. It was just wonderful.
So tell us about your educational background, schooling and higher education.
So yes, I attended school in Arizona in the United States. I have a administrative degree in business administration. I have a bachelor's in criminal justice, and I have a master's degree in administration. I also hold several international certifications in human rights and business consulting. I also hold national certifications within the country of the United States in cognitive dissonance, motivational interviewing, substance abuse counseling. So I hold many different degrees in a variety of different topics across the spectrum, both internationally and domestically.
So what was your dream profession as a child, and was it constant or keep on changing by seeing inspirational people around?
Yes, as a child, I wanted to be a veterinarian. I so love animals and pets, and in the summer we would spend our summers on our family farm in Oklahoma. So I grew up around a lot of animals. So as a child, I wanted to be a veterinarian. As I grew, that kind of changed. At one point I wanted to be a firefighter. Then I wanted to go into nursing. So everything that I've ever wanted to do has always been in the field of helping others. And I kind of stayed with that as an adult. So it has changed. I'm not a veterinarian or a firefighter or a nurse, but I'm still in the helping field. So that's the one thing that has been consistent throughout my life.
So any school or college life that makes you laugh whenever you think about that?
When I was in college, I didn't stay in the dorms because I went to college in my home state. So I kind of stayed at home. And so what I used to laugh about is, we would go to these college parties, and I'm not one to drink. I don't drink. And so all of my friends would be drinking and enjoying themselves, and I would be enjoying myself without the alcohol. So I've always been the designated driver. And I still, to this day, when we go out with friends, I'm the designated driver. And I look back on that and we all laugh and joke about it. Like, we know who's going to be driving that night. It's always going to be Queen Aminata because I'm the one person in the group that doesn't drink. So I think that's kind of funny.
So what about your hobbies and interests?
So for hobbies and interests, I like to do a lot of outdoorsy things. I like horseback riding. I like roller skating, spending time with family. For hobbies, I do a lot of crafts at home. I used to do a lot of embroidery, but I'm not really doing that anymore, but it is something that I enjoy.
So who was your inspiration as a child?
As a child, I think I didn't have any famous inspirational people that I looked up to. I kind of looked up to people that I was close to in my family. My grandparents were very inspirational in my growing up. My parents and aunts and uncles, those are the people that I looked up to. Those are the people who taught me my values, that my ethics that I still stand on today. So my inspirational leaders that I looked up to were people in my immediate family, maybe teachers, but more so my grandparents as I was growing up on both sides, paternal and maternal.
So where did you start your career journey from?
My professional journey started back when I was in high school. My parents had a business. It was a daycare center caring for children while people went to work. And so that's where my professional journey started. And from there, it progressed. I worked in the criminal justice field for some time. Then I got involved in human rights, which I'm very, very passionate about, standing up for those who feel like they have no voice. I'm very passionate about the equality of people and people being treated equitably in all circumstances. But it started back when I was in high school, working at my family's daycare center, caring for the children, making sure they were treated properly and these kind of things.
So what's that one thing you love about your profession the most?
The one thing I really love about what I do is connecting with people at the grassroots level. It's great to be able to work on an international level, working with government officials and things like that. But the real impactful things, the meaningful things happen at the grassroots level. When you can touch the life of a person that you meet, it's a very powerful thing. It's very enriching and it's very satisfying. And I love just meeting new people from all over the world. That's what I love the most.
So what challenges did you face when you started your entrepreneurial journey?
One of the major challenges that I faced is finding my voice. We don't grow up in a society, at least I didn't grow up in a society where women were welcome to speak their truth boldly and with confidence. And so one of the major challenges that I faced is just finding that inner strength to be who I am, to embrace who I am, and to use the voice that I've been given to stand up for righteousness. It's been a difficult journey, one that I'm still mastering, but it's a day-by-day growth process. And I think I'm doing a pretty good job of learning the lessons that I need to learn to be impactful in my environment.
So how was your journey of becoming Queen Aminata?
So the journey of becoming Queen Aminata has been very, very exciting and enriching and just soul fulfilling. How it started was I was doing some agricultural projects here in my home city in Arizona. I pitched the project to a friend of mine who's from Ghana because I understand that they are a big agricultural society and they were having some issues over there as far as in the dairy sector. So I pitched this project to them he loved it. He introduced me to His Royal Highness. We talked about the project because of some of the things I was doing in the agriculture field on the continent, as well as some women's empowerment initiatives that I implemented in the local communities across the continent of Africa, specifically in Ghana. That's how I got my first queenship. It was very exciting. It's been a wonderful, wonderful ride, and I'm very honored and humbled to even be able to take part in it. Yes.
So what was your first award and how was the feeling when you received your first award?
So my first major award was I received an award by Black Wall Street, United States, as being the district leader for the year. That was very special because what that honored was my work in my local community and touching the lives of people, teaching people about financial literacy and wealth building and generational wealth building and how to manage their finances, how to start up their businesses. That was my first major award. I was honored for the work that I do in my local community. And you always start at home first. So that was very, very meaningful to me. It has shaped who I am today, actually.
So who is your mentor in life?
My mentor in life, again, would be my parents. For the most part, they have guided me from childhood up until today. They give me advice. I go to them asking them questions about, should I do this? Should I do that? I bounce ideas off of them. It's a really empowering thing to have parents that are invested in your life. And I'm fortunate enough to have that.
So over the past 20 years, you have served in many non-profit organizations, NGOs, and private businesses. How do you manage your time, and from where do you get so much of energy to do so many roles?
Time management is a big deal. I have a lot of calendars that I keep. I have Excel spreadsheets that I keep track of things on. I do have friends that help me along the way to make my job a lot easier. So it's not something that I do on my own. I have people that are around me that help me to stay organized and on track. Plus, I use my phone a lot with reminders. I put reminders, pop-up reminders in my phone so that I don't forget things. So time management is big. The work-life balance can be a little tricky because you don't want to always be doing work. You have to have a private life as well. But when you're passionate about what you do, it really doesn't seem like you're working. So in order to stay organized, I do a lot of putting things on calendars. I do a lot of reminders on my phone. I have people around me. I have Excel spreadsheets. So it's a conglomerate of things that I use to help me stay on track.
So what was the most challenging phase of your life?
I think the most challenging phase of my life was getting through high school. High school can be very rough. It's not always a nice time. There's a lot of bullying and things that go on. It's really cliquey. And so getting through high school, in my opinion, was very rough. I survived it, thank goodness. I learned a lot in the process, but that was a very rough time that I'm glad I don't have to repeat, to be honest.
So you have received many awards till date. So does award motivates you to do more?
No, it's not really the awards that motivate me to do more, although it feels good to get them and to be honored for the work that you do. What motivates me to keep going is the lives that I touch and the people that I meet. That's very motivating to me because if I can just help one person, then it makes everything that I go through, the trials, the tribulations, worth it. So it's not necessarily the awards. They're nice to get. It's wonderful when people recognize your work, but the impact that you have on individual lives, that's what means the most to me as a person.
So what's the definition of success according to you?
Success to me is just what I said. If you can touch the life of a person and make an impact and a difference in that one person's life, then you've been successful. I don't equate success to numbers because you can have 1,000 people show up at your event. And if everybody leaves that event and they took nothing away from it and it's not going to change their life for the better, then to me, that wasn't a success. If you have an event and you only have 3 people show up and 2 of those 3 people leave that event and make changes in their lives for the better, then to me, that was a successful event. So to me, what equates success is the impact that you're having and not necessarily the numbers that people see.
So you are founder and CEO of Black Wall Street Arizona INC. Tell us about the services your company offers.
So Black Wall Street Arizona is a nonprofit organization in Arizona in the United States. What the principles it's founded on is generational wealth building, economic responsibility. It teaches financial literacy to the community. It teaches business startup techniques to the community, how to run a successful business. We host free classes in the community on these different topics. We also help people apply for their 501c3 status with the IRS. So those are some of the services that it provides. It's also a cultural organization. So we do things like holding a week-long Kwanzaa event. We were the first ones in the state to do that. We have an annual festival called Diaspora Day Arizona, where we bring people together of African descent, be them African, Black Americans from the United States, from the Caribbean, it doesn't matter. We bring them all together for a day of unity in the park to celebrate culture, music, food. We have vendors out there and it's open to the public. So we invite everybody to come out and learn about the rich African diaspora community and its culture.
So if you were able to get hold of time machine, which phase of your life would you like to roll back?
I think I would go back to my early childhood, probably like 6 and 7 years old, when things were just carefree. You didn't have worries. You were able to go to the park and play ditching with your friends, like I talked about. You didn't have bills to pay. You didn't have the pressures of life. If I was going to go back in time, it would be that time, because you don't have any stress. You don't have any worries. You just go play and come home and eat and go to sleep. And it just was a great time. Childhood was great for me. I loved it.
How do you manage your stress?
So, for stress management, I do a lot of walking. I walk a lot. So that helps relieve stress. I also have a circle of people around me that I'm able to talk to when I'm getting stressed out, and I'm really good at delegating things. So if I have too many things on my plate, I do have people around me that I can delegate and help take some of that pressure off. I think that's really important. But as far as actual stress relief, how I keep the stress off my body is I do a lot of walking. I walk several miles a day, every day.
So you also work to support the city of Phoenix and Valley Metro in helping to get the light rail initiative passed, which is part of city economic development plan for the future. Share your experience in economic development. What would you see in the future?
Black Wall Street, Arizona is into economic development. And yes, I was a part of the initiative to extend the light rail here in Arizona. I helped promote that, and I worked closely with the Valley Metro team to get that information out to the community because there was some commotion and conflict going on with it. So we hosted a lot of events at our office. My experience in economic development, I used to be on the Laveen Village Planning Commission, where we would be approving the different economic development projects that are coming to the city of Laveen. I also attend the South Mountain Village Planning Commission meetings because I had a colleague that was on that commission as well. So I'm very involved in the local community as far as economic development. What we want to make sure of is that these big developers that are coming into the community are actually investing in the community that they're making money off of. That's very important to me. You don't get to come into the community and take the money out without investing things back into the people. So that's my experience with economic development, is just standing up for what's right and making sure that these developers are held accountable to the community in which they're making their money.
You have been working on many initiatives. One of them is in the area of intercontinental trade and cooperation. You are collaborating with countries of Ghana on the major food grow and sharing agriculture project. Tell us about your initiative.
So I'm partnered with a couple of companies. One is Green Planet, and then my company, Black Wall Street Africa, which is based in Ghana. Those two entities are working together to bring an agricultural food grow product to the continent of Africa, beginning in Ghana. The project is very important because what it does is it grows food using probably 95% less water than what you would need to grow typically in an agriculture project, which is very important because, as you know, the world has a water shortage issue, and it grows the food in a third of the time, and it's able to grow to scale. So for instance, if you have a grocery store and the grocery store knows they sell 100 heads of lettuce a day, you can program the technology to grow 100 lettuces a day, so it cuts down on the food waste. So that's one of the major things that we're working on bringing to the continent, and we're going to start that initiative in Ghana. Lord willing, it will go through, and we'll be able to get it started shortly.
Your work and dedication to American Global has earned you the title of Magijia Shigaba of Fulani, which translates to Developmental Queen, Mother of Fulani of Asani region of Ghana. What does leadership mean to you?
So in my opinion, leadership is a servant position. When you're in a position of leadership, your job is to serve the community and the people. It's not for people to serve you. So my definition of leadership is somebody who gets down at the grassroots level with the people, and you work alongside the people, and you're bringing people up with you. So a good leader is somebody who creates other leaders, who invests in the success of other people and not necessarily focuses on themselves, but puts their focus on outside of themselves on the people that you serve. That's what a good leader is to me.
What advice would you like to give to general public? How important is to give back to the society?
So my advice that I give everybody is to find something that you're passionate about and get involved in it. It's going to take all of us working together in our different areas of expertise and the different areas that we're passionate about to make this world a better place for the generations that are coming up. We cannot afford to sit on the sidelines and watch everybody else do the work. There's enough work for everybody, and we should all be doing our part to make life easier for the next generations coming up. So it doesn't matter what area that's in, whatever you're passionate about, whatever you're good at, bring those skills and qualities to the table, and let's work together as a team and make this world a better place. Get involved. That's my advice. Get involved.
What all are do's and don'ts you would suggest while starting your professional journey?
So my advice to people who are just starting out on their professional journey, what you want to do is collaborate. Collaboration is the key to success. And what you don't want to do is set out on this journey by yourself. You're going to need to do a SWOT analysis, What that is it's examining your strengths, your weaknesses, your threats, and your opportunities. You want to do all of this research and stuff before you get started, so you know how to properly plan your journey, and you need to be lucid in your journey. In other words, things are going to pop up that you didn't think about, and you need to be lucid enough to move and go with the flow. What you don't want to do is be so strict and rigid that you have a plan and you're not going to deviate from it, because that will cause you to fail. So my advice to everyone starting out is to please seek out reputable people and organizations and companies that you can partner with who have expertise in the area that you're trying to make an impact in. Learn from them and work with them.
What's your advice for young generation?
The same advice to the young generation. You guys find what your passion is and walk in your purpose. Walk in your purpose and get involved in whatever area that is. You got to find your passion and then walk in it. So that's my advice. Find out what you're passionate about and dedicate yourself to serving in that capacity, and you'll always be happy, and you won't feel so tired and like you're having to work. You won't be stressed out as much because you're doing what you love and what you were created to do.
So now we'll start a rapid round. Your favorite actor and actress?
You know what? I like Julia Roberts and I like Denzel Washington.
Your favorite color?
Fuchsia.
Your favorite destination?
The Caribbean, anywhere in the Caribbean.
Your favorite car?
I drive a Toyota RAV4.
Success in one line?
Impact.
Things in your wish list?
I want to go to Egypt, and I want to go to the Middle East and tour the Holy Lands, and I want to go to Australia. Those are the things on my wish list.
Your dream house?
My dream house would be a country home surrounded by animals, off on a bunch of land, secluded, with just family and friends and loved ones.
Second choice of career?
My second choice of careers, I think, would go back to being a veterinarian. I'm still passionate about animals.
What change you need in the world?
What change would I like to see in the world would be for people to come together in love and in unity. That's the change I want to see. I don't like all this fighting and wars and things that's going on and people's rights being violated. Let's just stop the madness and come together as human beings and make this world a better place for everybody.
At last, one line that defines you.
Dedicated to humanity.
It was a pleasure talking to you, and I'm obliged that you have taken out your time from your busy schedule. It was a pleasure talking to you and listening to the advices which you have shared on our show. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me. It was my pleasure and honor to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for watching Amazing Mentor. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell button to get regular updates. Thank you very much.